just live here with Bayut. Find your next home. Browse from over 200,000 listings for rent and sale in the UAE. Download the app or visit Bayut.com.
Right, we are. Time now for us to have a little look at what's going on the property markets. We were focusing on all things Dubai a little earlier on, but now time to catch up with the Dubai and Bayut team. Director of Sales is Fibha Ahmed. Fibha, thank you very much indeed for joining us here this morning.
Thank you for having me here. Lovely place.
Nice venue, isn't it?
Very nice.
Very nice office space down here at Dubai Commerce City. More on that a little later on. Fibha, we're going to talk all things near neighbours, though, if we can. The Abu Dhabi property market, as we know, is witnessing strong growth so far this year. What's driving that growth?
So we talk a lot about Dubai, and today let's focus on Abu Dhabi, the capital city. What we've seen in Q3 of this year is pretty similar to what we've seen throughout this year in the property segment for Abu Dhabi. We've seen steady growth in prices, both in the affordable segment as well as the luxury segment. Of course, luxury segment taking a lot of share of the price increases. We've seen some very steady growth in terms of mortgage sales. Which stood out for me because it is the highest that I've seen quarter over quarter in the data that comes out of DARI, which is the regulation and the transaction app that you have for Abu Dhabi to see which areas are transacting at what volume. So interestingly, there's a 60-40 split in ready versus off plan, and the mortgage sales have been the highest in last several years in Q3 of this year, which tells you that people are very keen to put their money and buy a piece of Abu Dhabi as their future home.
What are the key areas in Abu Dhabi? Where's seeing that sort of investment at the moment?
There are multiple ways of looking at this. We normally at Bayut segment the way we analyze the market in two categories. One is affordable and one is luxury or prime areas. In the affordable segment, we've seen about 2% price per square feet rising for areas. A lot of interest in Gadir area, not only for affordability but also the ROI it gets you. When we move to luxury segment, Saadiyat Island has stood out, where it has gone at about 10% increase in price per square feet. This is comparing it to last quarter. So for me, if you're budget conscious, look at Gadir because of the ROI it provides you. If you have a little more money to spend, then Saadiyat Island for the apartments, villa community, it is the safest bet at the moment with regards to price appreciation.
So we're seeing price increases in both apartments and villas. Is that what you're seeing?
That is correct. That is correct. Both segments have seen increased pricing. In the apartment segment, the luxury segment is where you're seeing the most increase in capital.
Let's talk rental prices if we can, because we talked about the demand for both villas and apartments in terms of sales. Rental prices also going up? It's
interesting to see when you look at percentage change. Rental prices have seen more gains in this quarter as compared to last quarter. The affordable segment has gone up by 15%, and the luxury segment, especially in the villa communities, has gone up by 12% with regards to rentals. When we look at the average rental transaction price versus Q2, you see a 5% increase in the transaction prices going up. Average apartments are transacting. Average rental contract value in Abu Dhabi sits at 89,000 dirhams per transaction, which was roughly about 85,000 in the last quarter.
In terms of what you get for your dirham down in Abu Dhabi, I mean, one of the things we've seen in the Dubai market is certainly more of the more recent developments. We're seeing plots shrink a little bit, you know, your space and your square meters coming down a little bit for your dirham. Are you getting more bang for your buck down in Abu Dhabi?
It's interesting. I did some number crunching around what is the difference if you have some money to spare and you're looking between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Well, rest assured, in Dubai, you should set aside about 30% roughly, price per square foot extra than Abu Dhabi. And when you move on to villa communities, it's 42% higher to buy a villa in Dubai as compared to Abu Dhabi.
Right.
So not only Abu Dhabi is an upcoming market where there is a lot of interest, there is a lot of land that is going to be possibly built in the next 5 to 10 years. Abu Dhabi has 200 islands. I mean, who doesn't want a waterfront property? So given the fact that currently, today, 30% less in apartment segment and 42% less in villa segment might not be the case in the future. Right now, if you have some money to spare, I would definitely recommend Saadiyat Island in Abu Dhabi. It's my own personal favorite. Every time I go visit my office in Abu Dhabi, our office is in Maria Island, so of course we get a great view there. It really interests me. I think not only do you get more space for a buck that you spend, but you also have a massive potential for the prices to go up in the future.
And what about supply and demand? Because we often talk about supply and demand here in Dubai, and there just isn't the supply as well. Is it the same case down in Abu Dhabi?
In Abu Dhabi, this year we've seen roughly about 2,000 plus apartments and villas coming to market. The areas where you can see inventory coming up is in Saadiyat, in Jubail Island for villas, and of course Reem Island is there always, gaining a big share of inventory coming to the market. Looking at the numbers that we have, expect another 1,900 units to come to market further down this year. So setting about 4,400 units. Looking at a city that is growing at a population rate of about 1.2%. I would say definitely demand is more than the supply it has, especially for villa communities and in the affordable segment in the apartments. However, with all the recent launches that has been announced, I think there's going to be steady balancing act between demand and supply in Abu Dhabi.
A lot of people also talking about the foreign investment. A lot of international players also targeting Abu Dhabi at the moment. That hasn't been the case in the past. Are things changed in Abu Dhabi in terms of transparency, in terms of infrastructure?
100%. What I have personally seen for the last 10 years that I've done this in real estate, Abu Dhabi has taken a lot of interest and a lot of initiative. Our team here at Bayut is also collaborating with ADRAC, which is setting up all these regulations and kind of making sure data is available to the private sector as well as the end users. So with all of these initiatives, and of course Abu Dhabi improving up the transparency index of JLL's report this year comes as an indication that all the steps that they are taking are in the right direction to attract foreign investors. In first half of this year, there were 971 foreign investors that invested in Abu Dhabi, which is roughly about 200% more than previous years. So this clearly shows, and it's reflective in our searches on Bayut as well, where we've seen 16% more international traffic coming in. Interestingly, a big chunk of it is Canada, US, and Germany. So we see users from these countries engaging more and more with the property offerings for Abu Dhabi on our platform. So yeah, all the things are positive.
Looking forward to it. Fibha, can't thank you enough for your time this morning. Fibha Ahmed is the Director of Sales at Dubai and Bayut, joining us live down here at Dubai Commerce City. Time now for the traffic.
Dubai Eye 103.8 traffic. Stay at iconic hotels.